The name of this piece is called How Hate Operates. Alright? You can tell by the title of this poem, I'm going to explain to you how hate operates. So without further ado. It's up to you. You gotta change the world. That's what they tell our little black boys and girls. It's like Negro, no pressure. You gotta be a success and want to accept nothing lesser. But when bodies blow and heads roll, it's taking a toll. I'm having selfish thoughts of suicide. Like, God, I'm ready to go. I try to be the perfect example, educated Negro. To be like Christ, I desire. I'm burning with so much passion. It's like my soul is on fire. But at the end of this carnal life, I want to go in the fire. Face it. Hate is a standing issue. Nothing grows any higher. Don't sit here and tell me racism doesn't exist when new generations of haters take a thread up and sew in a stitch, putting in new designs in an already tarnished fabric. When Trayvon Martin was killed, how many blacks were pissed? Okay, now how many whites were pissed? That the blacks were pissed that Zimmerman wasn't found guilty of killing this kid. Hate is married to fear, got a cousin named Jealousy, who lives down the street from the unknown, who had a baby with heresy. Hates auntie is lust, who had his first cousin anger. But they all lead to actions which are thoughts, but now great up when they all get together and have a family reunion, and society said, they invite stupidity, kill morals, so she's dead. But when love, patience, wisdom, and understanding try to intervene, hate says no, they too demanding. Practice that. Learn this, study those. Persuasion keeps the mind blind, their eyes closed. Is something wrong with this picture? And if you said no, then maybe see the doctor in the Bible, Jesus, and get well. Or is it the hate family reunion party checked in your hotel? Hey, where else does hate manifest? Do, pray, tell. Well, hate is all over the world. Usually follows differences. For instance, is boys and girls. Battle of the sexes, fat and fit. Racism is one. The old versus the young, that's always been fun. The so-called smart versus the so-called dumb. The rich, the poor, the list goes on. The potential for hate is everywhere. But don't feel in despair, because the potential for love is everywhere too. Love, hate, love is a conscious decision, so you choose who this day, who you will follow or who you won't. You can choose to love God and all His creation, or you don't. And then I forget to mention that hate equals death, right? And love equals life. Yes, a very simple equation, but not many get it right. See, hate can be very strong, but searches the weakest spirits because they don't put up a fight. Tries to injure you with bitterness, frustration, aggression, depression, despair. I guess so. Temptation. A whole host of issues we face. In Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12 through 13, for we must unite against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of darkness, against spiritual wickedness in high places. 13, wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. Okay, Cass, let's recap. Add a few more variables to this math. So hate equals death equals Satan, correct? And love equals life equals God, correct? So God is greater than Satan. Okay, let's check. Verse 11. Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand the wiles of the devil. So he attacks your mind, not your body, with principalities and other contingencies. Put on your God-given armor, the devil will flee from thee. It's amazing the problems that stem from hate, stress, anxiety. Are you feeling okay? This is how hate functions. Operates on the playing field of eternity, when your souls are on play, for whose team will swing when they breathe in a rain. Love conquers all and is greater than death. Be hot or be cold to again I say. Choose you this day who you will follow or who you won't. Because you can choose to love God and all His creation. That poem I wrote, if Trayvon Martin was still alive, me and him would be the same age today. I'm 27, he would have been 27 as well. I wrote this poem around that time, around 2013. I was fresh out of high school. This poem, I was able to enjoy. I looked up to Obama. I was never old enough to vote for him. He became president when I was 4 years of high school. I was finally old enough to vote in high school, and then I had 4 years of college. Didn't get a chance to vote for him, but this was during that time. And the name of this poem is The Whole Black Life. And you can tell by this poem title that I'll be talking about The Whole Black Life. And this was written in, I believe, 2016. I wrote this right after Fernando Castillo. So without further ado, the whole black man. If I say that Black Lives Matter, could you tell me that I'm lying? Some people like to negate this by bringing up black on black crime and see now it's scientifically and sociologically proven that birds of a feather really do flock together. So tell me, who do I rob if I'm a poor black man looking to do better? Of course, the people around me. See, politics and politics mixed with government and money spent creates a system where there's nothing but poverty that surrounds me. So if I'm the black man, surrounded by poverty for generations, for years on end, I create economic trends to meet my ends, so I start trapping. And I start thugging. I go to the underworld to make the money come in, and that's where the media comes into play. This freak show, TV show has all the criminals on display. You know, the people who commit crimes are actually the minority of this minority. But we all look the same to the authorities. Police pull me over, I'm not a thug. I try to tell them that there's more to me, but no, I don't get the benefit of the doubt. Instead, I get a slug in my back and a hand across my mouth. Before you know it, I'm in a fight for my life before they read me my rights. Is this the pinnacle of black life? It's been reduced to a hashtag and a movement half the public don't understand. So why should it take cops and cameras for you to realize, hey, I want to be treated like a man? Listen, Black Lives Matter. I dare somebody to tell me that's not true. And you can see how government, economics, and television news has your vision misconstrued to protect and to serve blind and been lied to. The way I just did, and how can I believe that when police out there shooting unarmed kids? Now I know the job's stressful, and every cop ain't bad, believe me. And every man ain't good, but why do we have more blacks in prison when there's more cops in the hood? I mean, shouldn't it be safer? The justice system is unequivocally one of the worst systems of the systems, and we know it. It's in need of remodeling, but what do we have to show for it? A bunch of dead bodies and manipulated statistics. They say children in urban areas do 100% more crimes than the rich kids that label us as ignorant. There is more black kids graduating college than there's ever been. Between the truth and what we hear, there seems to be some dissonance. I can still spot the difference. Public, let me ask this. Why don't we control the suburbs where the rich white folks live? This would take too much to explain, and since I don't have a decade, we know all lives matter. That's a fact, not a movement. Black Lives Matter came about just to prove this. Black people walking home, cop says, hey, what are you doing? Back up, we have a type 5. Hey, what are you doing? Well, walking home, officer, well, I need you to stop moving. He yells, hands behind your back, and the victim begins to move him. Yo, officer, I need you to do this. And I mean, he doesn't truly know. He doesn't really understand it. The officer begins to panic. He's only operating on the notion of what society had in branded. And I'll admit, some police act a fool when the body cams ain't candid, which explains why people shoot now with guns and with cameras. With automatics and with cameras. Nikons, 38s, and the rest. The condition of the black man is handcuffed and in cardiac arrest. They put the label Black Lives Matter as a bunch of terrorists. Number one on the media's hit list, maybe because they raise awareness and the fist. You know they're actually really close to the pacifists. And people who shoot cops on behalf of Black Lives Matter claim the name and make the purpose hard to explain. We want respect for our lives, and hear me, we want nobody slain, but who can we blame? They lash out in anger as a result of their pain, and it seems like 1 in every 500 cops get convicted. We want justice, period, in the sentence. I mean, we got brothers doing 20 years for non-violent offenses. We still marching for freedom, now we're facing offenses. Undercover racists resort to petty defenses. If your only rebuttal is, well, all lives matter, it translates to, please excuse these modern dimensions. Now, to be honest, I don't think the justice problem will ever be solved because it's just a symptom. The after effect of a much bigger and more personal issue. See, black culture and black economics, to be honest, has to change before we see any change. Black people have to be aware of where we put in our change before they free us from change. You know, most of us ain't on welfare. And the same goes for World Star. Though it seems to be the norm perpetuated by a few world stars who prostitute for labels and sacrifice black art, even though it's a fraction, a small part, only a percentage that gets blown up and then characterized by media image. Herein lies the problem, and I'll be short. Black people in America in general are poor. So some of us resort life to a 9-to-5 crime. We get caught up, we get arrested, and this gets put on TV all the time. So if I'm little Bobby, growing up white, and I see the violence, the struggle in the black man's plight, I mean, this is all I see. So when I grow up and become a cop, what am I supposed to believe? Especially when I see dreads in a car full of Jeeps, you know, I'm automatically looking for weed. And plus, I won't accept anything lesser than a yes, sir, and you on your knees. Black dude driver says, dang, this always happens to us. This always happens to me. More frustrated and surprised, he reacts, quote unquote, violently. Now, in truth, he was rude, probably respectful with a little attitude. You see, now, oh snap, Little Bobby has to defend his pride. This little Negro is staring me in my eyes. Bobby, you know how the thugs are. Hands up, get out of the car. Some stuff goes down. The usual. The cop felt in danger. The driver was resisting arrest. This could have been avoided if he did what he said. Or let's have a mugshot and a rap sheet to make things sweet. We see this every week. It's like a record on repeat. And it's going to be on TV. But we're going to capitalize the mugshot, not the fact that he got shot for a routine traffic stop. The little Bobby gets paid off instead of being laid off. Congratulations, new job come full circle. The man left his car in a body bag. Then becomes the nation's trending hashtag. Then both blacks and whites ask each other, man, why do they act like that? Listen, Black lives matter in every aspect. From our minds to our checks. From our knowledge to our wallets. From the blacks that start trends to the ones that come conscious. From the black family, black media, our entertainment, our home lives, dog, our voices, our pain, our songs, our sorrow, our pain, hell, and even our laughter. But if there's one thing we must remember, is that the whole black man.
Give it up for Delbo Speaks. I'm quite sure the Trayvon generation will applaud you. And as I mentioned, he comes from that Delbo family out of Broward County. The late Reverend Samuel Delbo wears a park out there, Seattle. Now, how can they find your poetry and everything?
Instagram, TikTok, same name, Delbo Speaks. Speaks has a Z at the end. Delbo Speaks. Like that.
Ladies and gentlemen, Delbo Speaks, or Juneteenth.